Hi, I'm Sarah, and these are my two girls. Together, we live with my folks, John and Diana, along the Whale Coast in the beautiful Overberg of South Africa. We are the Soers family, and we have an interesting history as fishmongers in Scotland and Ireland, dating back to 1876. Here we share some of that history of a bygone era with stories of food, fish, and family. So please subscribe and join us as we uncover some fascinating stories. Hello and welcome to Soers the Good Food Stories. Today's story takes us onto the subject of mussels, moules, mollusks. You either love them or hate them. After spotting fresh mussels in our local fish shop, we jumped at the chance to create a dish of Moules Mariniere. I realized after our feast there's only so many I can eat before they get too rich for me. How do you fare with mussels? Do you have a similar reaction? You may be interested, perhaps surprised, to find out that in 19th century Scotland they were harvested for bait, to a point where their numbers were drastically low. The French, however, preferred them for consumption and are still cultivated today in the same way they were centuries ago. I have found a long article in the Great Tome titled Bait, written in 1886. It details the history of mussels as bait, the cost, the culture and farming of these creatures. I won't bore you to death by reading it all. However, there's one paragraph towards the end which I found most interesting, and I think you too will be curious to learn how mussels ended up being cultivated. While I read this wee paragraph, please enjoy the mesmerizing Moules Mariniere recipe we had the pleasure of creating. A fortunate discovery. Once upon a time, it is now hundreds of years ago, a man named Walton, an Irishman who was on board a vessel containing a flock of sheep, was shipwrecked in the Bay d'Aiglon. He was the only person who survived the wreck, and being determined not to be a burden on the 2 or 3 fishermen among whom he had been cast by the waves, he set about the devising of plans by means on which he could provide his daily supplies of food. Seeing that the muddy foreshores on which he had been cast were frequented by immense flocks of birds, he set up 1 or 2 roughly constructed nets, which were affixed to strong posts composed of the trunks of young trees. And in these nets he managed to capture as many birds as he and the fishermen and their families could eat. In the course of time, the ingenious Irishman found the posts to which his floating nets were fastened covered with the spawn of the edible mussel. From this discovery, the French mode of mussel culture originated and is known as the Bouchot system. The mussel spawn grew rapidly to maturity, and the molluscs were found to be of excellent flavor. Walton soon found out ways and means of turning what had occurred to profitable use. Other posts were driven deep into the mud, and directions were made to receive the small mussels as they formed from the seed deposited. A trousseau was invented, formed of interlaced boughs of trees, stretching from post to post, and as they grew, the mussels were removed from one to another, so that in time the largest examples were nearest the shore, and consequently easy to access. And that, my friends, is a little tidbit of mussel history you never knew you needed to know, and now you do. So have yourself a marvelous day, and I'll be back with more fascinating food stories. Till then, goodbye.